We'll start with the reading of the verse. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead, Tashwin. I think you can start with Mangalacharan.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjala-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanoshrute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanjakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhayeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadatara Shrivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shashwin. Thank you for the wonderful Mangalacharan. Hare Krishna, Gurudev. Please accept our humble obeisances on behalf of everybody who have joined and are about to join or later will see this on YouTube. Please accept our Danvat Pranams as well. Gurudev, we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 3. The Canto 3 is status quo. And we are on Chapter 8. Chapter 8 is the manifestation of Brahma from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And Gurudev, today we are on text 25. So kindly guide us if you would like us to read the Sanskrit or translation or purport. We hand over to you, Gurudev. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much for joining. So we'll just dive into the verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam 3.8.25. Ayamato vestarata svamana dehena lokatraya sangrahena vichitra divya bharanam shukanam krita shriyapashrita veshadeham. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His transcendental body, unlimited in length and breadth, occupied the three planetary systems, upper, middle, and lower. His body was self-illuminated by unparalleled dress and variegatedness, and was properly ornamented. Purport. The length and breadth of the transcendental body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead could only be measured by his own measurement, because he is all-pervading throughout the complete cosmic manifestation. The beauty of material nature is due to his personal beauty. Yet, he is always magnificently dressed and ornamented to prove his transcendental variegatedness, which is so important in the advancement of spiritual knowledge. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-anjana-shalakaya Chakshunamritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master has kindly opened my darkened eyes and filled my heart with transcendental knowledge. I bow to his lotus feet again and again. I offer my obeisances to all of you assembled Vaishnavas as well, and seek your kind blessings that I may read Bhagavatam with you. So, today's session, we're continuing from yesterday's. Yesterday, the theme was the beauty of the Lord's form. Today we'll dive a little bit deeper into what's being shown here. Imagine you're standing before a mountain range that stretches beyond the horizon, and its peaks are wrapped in gold, and its valleys in green emerald shadow. It has waterfalls that are gleaming like polished silver. It's beautiful, it's majestic, it feels eternal. And then, with a movement softer than breath, something appears that makes that mountain look small. Not because the mountain shrinks, but because that one Lord, that one who created it, momentarily reveals a fraction of his true form. For a moment, the devotee can get a glimpse that the universe is not big, Krishna is big. The creation is not that impressive. The Creator is impressive. And that our senses, which shake and tremble before the mountain, cannot even begin to approach the beauty, the magnitude, the vastness, the gorgeousness of the personality of that Supreme Person himself. This is this verse and the previous one, where the Lord's form does not just simply appear. It overwhelms us. It illuminates. It redefines the meaning of beauty itself. And in this verse, you see a very important philosophical truth coming out. It's some very, very core message that's emerging here. See, it says, his transcendent body, unlimited in length and breadth, occupied the three planetary systems. His body was self-illuminated. No one can measure Krishna. That's an important point. No one can measure Krishna except Krishna himself. And no one can see Krishna unless he chooses to reveal himself. That's the key point here. See, the Bhagavatam opens the door and Rupa Goswami gives us the key. Rupa Goswami has a beautiful verse in Nectar Devotion that we can explore. It's related to this. Now, the devotee is standing on the threshold of that doorway, of this darshan, of this vision. It's no longer intellectual. It is relational, it is personal, it is love. Because Krishna has chosen to reveal himself to Lord Brahma. Now, some very key points here that will come up. Krishna's form. Actually, maybe I'll stop sharing this. Krishna's form, you can see it's spanning the three worlds. It says upper, lower, middle. Right? Yet his form remains completely personal. Normally, when something is that big, you don't get a sense of personhood. It just becomes an impersonal, massive something. So the verse describes the Lord as His body. It's unlimited length and breadth. If it's unlimited, then how can we see it? It's unlimited in the sense it covers the upper, lower, middle planetary systems. Now, this is not just some poetic exaggeration. This is the Bhagavatam that insists again and again that Krishna's form is all-pervading, like Brahman. And yet it is deeply personal, like Bhagavan. You see, it's everywhere and yet it's personal. He has a dress. He keeps coming to his dress. Why dress? To show there's a personhood. It's very, very important. Now, for a devotee who's advanced, when you see the Lord being described this way, it dissolves this. There's a false dichotomy between immanence and transcendence. What that means is that can God be everywhere and also remain transcendental to everything? You see, this is a philosophical conundrum that people have been wrestling with. Philosophers, theologians, they've been wrestling with this. But here in Bhagavatam, we see it's a false dichotomy. It's not that if it's one, it has to be there, it cannot be the other. No. The Lord is everywhere, yet He is someone. See, for us who are devotees, it's not a big deal, but those who are philosophically confused, especially when you're in the impersonal line, it can be very confusing. How can He be everywhere and yet be a person? But that's what Bhagavatam keeps showing us, keeps shining a light on. Every verse in this section. The Lord is everywhere, and yet He is someone. How can one person be everywhere? And yet that's how the Lord is. He is God. He blows your mind. If He doesn't blow your mind, He's not God. See? So that's one point, is that Krishna's personal form is everywhere, and yet is fully personal. That's point number one. Point number two, only Krishna can measure Krishna. This phrase, this phrase here in this verse, Svamana Dehena. It means that this body can only be measured by himself. No demigod, no yogi, no scholar can quantify him. Oh, he weighs this much, he is this tall. Not possible. This is important for us who are practicing bhakti. It is the heart of bhakti philosophy. God is not approached to the senses. He cannot be apprehended by the senses. God approaches our senses when He wishes. You see, we cannot grasp God and force Him into our teeny brains or into our senses. It's not possible. And this is where the nectar of devotion verse perfectly enters. Rupa Goswami says, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Na Bhaved Grahyam Indriyai. Prabhupada quotes this a lot. It's very important for us to remember this verse. Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Na Bhaved Grahyam Indriyai. That Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's qualities, His pastimes, they cannot be grasped by our material senses. It's not possible. We cannot see it. We cannot even imagine it with our teeny brains. We cannot fathom it. In this verse, the cosmic size of the Lord, the immeasurability of the Lord, that's the macro version, the large version of what Rupa Goswami is expressing here in the microscopic scale. He's saying Krishna is not, quote unquote, seen. He cannot be seen by us. He's God. He chooses not to be seen by us. But because He's all powerful, He can choose to reveal Himself. See? So then how can we see God? Only if He reveals Himself. That's an important point in this verse, that only Krishna can measure Krishna. Only Krishna can choose whether someone can see Him or not. And how we can all see Him? Because we want to see Him. That'll be revealed later as we explore. That's point number 2, that only Krishna can measure Krishna. Now, another point that comes up in this verse, I'm trying to stick to just the verse itself, not to go too far away from the verse. Krishna's divine body radiates its own splendor. The text, the verse, it says that His form is self-illuminated, like it's glowing. It's the light comes from within Him. And He's adorned with transcendental ornaments, variegated garments and clothes, and then the rays from His jewels that create their own beauty. So nothing in this material world, the sun, moon, or lighting, or fire, or anything like that, provides the illumination to reveal Krishna. He reveals Himself to Himself, and He reveals Himself to those He loves. So it says, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahyam indriyai. Okay, we cannot see Him through our senses. Then how will we see Him? He says, Swayam eva spuratyada. Swayam eva spuratyada means He manifests on His own. Swayam means by Himself. And spuratyada means He reveals Himself. He makes Himself known. He makes Himself visible. This is called self-disclosure. Our theology is based on self-disclosure of the Lord. Where Krishna is not an object, He is a subject. He chooses. So the point was, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahim indri. We cannot see God with our blunt senses. Okay, fine. Sevan ukai jivado says Swayam eva spuratyada, but He reveals Himself. He manifests Himself to whom He chooses, to whom He loves. Yeah? That's the third point we're making. Now, the fourth point that's also in this verse is this notion of Vichitra Divya. The word Vichitra Divya is there. The Lord's transcendental variety. The variegatedness that the Lord demonstrates, that He exhibits, it's called Vaichitrya. It's His variegatedness. It is not an illusion. The Lord's variety of His clothing, His jewels, His smile, is not an illusion. It is the lifeblood of spiritual experience. It is actual reality behind all realities. Why does He demonstrate that? See, variety is an expression of love. Variety is love expressed. And His beauty, the beauty that He shows us, that is devotion made visible. And the ornamentation that's described in this verse, all these brilliant, dazzling ornaments, this is an extension of Krishna's personality. It's an externalized manifestation of His personality. It's not non-spiritual. It's spiritual. It's real. In the spiritual world, everything is alive with the very expressive diversity and variety. So what this verse and many other verses in the Bhagavatam affirm, that spiritual realization is not formless. Although formlessness is a small part of Krishna's absolute nature, but the full spiritual realization is not formless. It is infinitely personal and vibrantly aesthetic. The aesthetics we enjoy in this world here, they're not nothing. They are, like we discussed yesterday, a dim reflection of the reality in the spiritual world. The real vibrant aesthetic in the spiritual world is what our heart is seeking. But we kind of settle for the stale version here. See? The next point is that the universe we see is a shadow of His beauty. We explored this quite a bit yesterday. If His body spans the cosmos, like it describes upper, lower, middle. If His body spans, this cosmic manifestation, then the cosmic landscape is merely a decorative thread in his garment. Prabhupada writes that the beauty of nature imitates the beauty of the Lord. This is important because it guards us from two mistakes. There are philosophical mistakes a lot of philosophers make. One, materialism, which idolizes nature as the supreme. This is it. I've reached the mountain. This is the highest. Nothing higher than this. Because this is what I see. And the other mistake is voidism. That no, we deny it. This is all temporary. The highest truth is zero-ness. Both of them are problems. Both of them are not repose in reality. They are a reflection of what Prabhupada calls a poor fund of knowledge. A devotee does neither. We explored this yesterday. The devotee sees nature as a love note, a reflection that points back to the one who created it. So when we see the universe as a shadow of his beauty, it triggers devotion in our heart. So now coming back to that verse, right? This is where revelation takes place. How does revelation take place? Sevan mukhe hi jivhado. We're exploring the other verse that's related to this by Rupa Goswami. In this Sevan mukhe hi jivhado, this is where the revelation principle becomes intensely practical and absolutely doable and reachable. The Bhagavatam says in today's verse, Krishna's form is immeasurable. Rupa Goswami says Krishna's form is unapproachable through our blunt senses. But in that same verse, he gives us the remedy. Sevan mukhehi jivhado. When we turn to Krishna with the mood of service, this is the key of all the keys. Mood of service. Beginning with the tongue, through the chanting, through honoring prasadam. The same senses that were previously blind to Krishna become spiritually awakened. And Krishna allows himself to be known. This is the miracle of bhakti. So, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahyam indriye sevan mukhehi jivado swayam eva spuratyada. This is one verse we should memorize from the Nectar of Devotion. Ata means therefore, Krishna cannot be seen by our senses. Na bhavet graham indriye. Sevan mukhe, seva unmukha. When we are absorbed with a seva, spiritual service, devotional service, starting with the tongue, jiva ado, tongue, etc. That means tongue and the rest. Then the likelihood of the Lord revealing himself to us goes up substantially. We want to improve our odds in seeing the Lord by cranking up our mood of service, seva unmukha, starting with the tongue. Krishna allows himself to be known. So it is not sense mastery that unlocks God. It is surrender. It is seva. And it is done in a loving mood. So now we're coming to the point of seeing Krishna everywhere. Not with the eyes, but with the heart. So these two verses in the Bhagavatam, 24 and 25, one we did yesterday and the one we're doing today, they show us Krishna's limitless, radiant, beautiful form. And the verse from Nectar of Devotion explains the inner mechanics of how he's accessible. Without devotion, the universe looks material. With devotion, the universe becomes Krishna's expanded body. So, what has shifted? The shift is not happening in the world. The shift is happening in our heart. The mountain becomes a reminder. The sky and the beautiful colors at sunset, that becomes his garment. The radiance, the light we see, that's his aura, his effulgence. And the diversity we see, that's his playfulness. Yeah, Krishna is playful. He's not just a stone statue that has a static smile. No. Prabhupada always said, Krishna is not static. He's ecstatic. His playfulness. So diversity we see is a reflection of his playfulness. This is called spurti. Swayameva spurtyada. That Krishna is now shining forth where? In the consciousness of a devotee who sees things clearly. Through the eyes of the Bhagavatam. Who has been aligned because they read the Bhagavatam. And that's why we are here today. We are aligning our intelligence with reality by grasping, embracing every word in the Bhagavatam, really digging deep into it, taking each word apart and seeing Krishna's smile behind every syllable in the Bhagavatam. This is called spurti, swayameva spurtyada. Krishna shining forth in the consciousness of his devotees. So, what is the essence of the teaching? Let's put together, these texts convey one giant, majestic truth. Krishna is not discovered. Krishna is revealed. Two different things. See, discovery we do. Revelation he does. See. He's not approached by philosophical speculation. He's not approached by ascetic austerity. He's not approached by sensory refinement, by intellectual wrangling, wrestling, speculation. No. Then how is he approached? He is approached by service. Krishna comes running to see who is serving me. He is approached by surrender. Krishna comes running to see, who is shifting their life to try to really please my desires. That's called surrender. Who's really taking the steps? Who's really struggling hard to be the way I want them to be? That's surrender. Krishna is approached by surrender. Surrender means what? Means we put substantial effort in trying to become how Krishna wants us to become. Fearless. Humble. That's surrender. So he's approached by service. He's approached by surrender. He's approached by loving affection. And he's approached by humility. Humility, again, is kind of an overlap because humility is one of the components of surrender, dainya. Not by philosophy or austerity or speculation. No. So, when the devotee turns toward Krishna, even slightly, even a little bit, like little slightly, Krishna responds. Krishna is very responsive. He's not going to ghost us. Here we have a very common problem that someone decides they don't want to talk to us, they start ghosting us. They ignore the phone calls and they cross the street when they see you and try to avoid you. Krishna is the opposite. He's just looking for some clue that you're interested. And he responds by unveiling many things. He unveils himself to the degree that we want him. He unveils his name, the first one, because name is most accessible. He unveils his form, the beautiful form that he manifests in the temples where his authorized worship is going on. His beauty. He unveils his personality. We get to learn what his preferences are. We get to learn how playful he is. We get to learn what makes him cry. Yes. You see him crying when he's sitting next to Bhishma Dev on the bed of arrows. You see him rubbing his eyes when his mother is running behind him. So, Krishna responds. His form, his beauty, his personality, and his omnipresence, that he's everywhere. We get a sense that he's always with us. Devotees develop a sense of trust that Krishna is always with them. Devotees never feel alone. Prabhupada said, I never felt lonely, even when I was alone in the ship or when I was trying to set up the movement. I always felt Krishna was with me. I felt my spiritual master was with me. He said, I never felt alone. So this is Krishna's response to us. Devotee is never alone, and neither is Krishna. Krishna is never alone either. He's always with some devotee or another, his entourage. Loneliness is not a thing in Krishna consciousness. You cannot be lonely and be Krishna. It's not possible. If you're lonely, you're not Krishna conscious. If you're Krishna conscious, you're not lonely. This is Swayam Eva Spuratyada. That Lord who spans the entire universe chooses to enter the heart, that little heart here, in his full glory, not partial glory. And that is the essence of today's verse. I will read the verse again. His transcendental body, unlimited in length and breadth, occupied the three planetary systems, upper, middle, and lower. His body was self-illuminated by unparalleled dress and variegatedness and was properly ornamented. So we're very fortunate that Srila Prabhupada gave us such rich purports to properly keep our mind oriented, focused in the right direction, give it to us in plain English, with the right tone, the right emphasis. And it is incumbent upon us to try to embrace and absorb all these beautiful words that Prabhupada has given us, to worship them, but not in a ritualistic way, but to actually implement in our lives, and to see Krishna's smiling face, because he wants to show us his smile. We don't want to see it because we are too distracted by lifetimes of being selfish, to be blunt. But today's the day when we decide, no, today's the first day of the rest of my life. Tired of this selfishness. It's not got me anywhere. Let me look at this verse again and just see how beautiful the Lord is and how nicely he's revealing himself to Lord Brahma, who is just crawling out of his birthplace, looking around. He has all this knowledge, but doesn't know what to do with it. And so may the Lord also take pity on our little efforts and reveal himself to us, and maybe give us some inspiration that we can continue in our efforts and perhaps come closer to him. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much for listening, for your kind attention. Thank you for your valuable time. We can pause here and discuss some more if you have any questions. A lot of the time we have some very, very good questions that come up, and it could be related to this verse, or it could be a little bit unrelated. That's also fine. We have plenty of time to explore all those. But I see so many exalted souls have joined our company. My obeisances to all of you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. Thank you so much for today's session. Wow. That's all I can say. I mean, Krishna is so great. I mean, he's so great, but still he chooses to come in our hearts. I mean, that is his greatness, I feel, and mercy. But let us open up to any questions or comments. Hare Krishna, are there any questions, comments from the group? Kindly unmute. Hare Krishna, Anandavardhan Prabhu. Kindly.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for your class, Madana-gopāla Prabhu. I just wanted to know, Krishna is revealed in many ways to us. We see the sun, we see the moon, we everything, and we know Krishna actually is everywhere. And when we say by the service to surrender to Krishna, Krishna reveals himself to us. But then we have got so many sort of deities. We've got Gornitai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and so on. I just wanted to have your say on how we can actually come closer to God, Krishna, because sometimes people say, it's Narsimadev, Ram, and so different sort of Vishnu avatars. So I just wanted your input into this one, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. We know that there's only one God. We know that God, like one without a second, there's no second God. And yet when we come to this temple, we don't just see one murti, you see a whole crowd of personalities on the altar. Like a whole, crowd. You see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you see Narsimadev, you see Lord Ram, you see Varahadev, you see Krishna, Radha, so many. And so, aren't we maybe spreading ourselves too thin? Like, okay, we got to worship this one and that one, this one, that one. Nityananda Prabhu, who's that? And then Panchatattva, there's 5 of them. Okay, where do we go? So, it's a natural question. It's a natural question for anybody who comes. Even if you've been practicing for a while, it's a natural question. All of these forms are one person trying to reach you from different angles. There are not many gods. This is one Krishna showing himself in different moods. As Narsimadev, he says, I'm Krishna, but I'm really emphasizing my mood of protectiveness and the ferocity towards injustice. So he says, Keshava Dhrita Narahari Rupa. We sing that. Keshava is Narsimha. Keshava Dhrita Raghupati Rupa. Raghupati, Lord Ram, is Keshava. There's only one. He's Keshava. Right? Jai Gaura, say Krishna, say Jagannath. You've heard that line. That same person is Jagannath, is also Gaura, he's also Krishna, Gauranga. As Mahaprabhu, he is showing us the angle of compassion, accessibility, infinite mercy. As Ram, what does he show us? Perfect dharma, royal nobility. As Varaha, he shows his sense of cosmic responsibility. He takes the earth, resets the earth back. And as Krishna, he shows intimate sweetness and personal affection. So these are not different personalities competing for affection or attention. They're different windows through which the sun of Krishna shines, the same sun. Hey, the sun coming from this window is not the same sunlight. Oh, it's the same sunlight. It's just from a different window. Sometimes windows have different colors on them. So just as one diamond has many facets, Krishna has many forms, each one turning a different facet of his love toward the devotee. Now, what if I am attracted to one particular facet of the diamond? Coming closer to any form of the Lord brings you closer to Krishna. Prabhupada would say, if you love Narsimha, you love Krishna. If you worship Lord Ram, you're worshipping Krishna. They're all expansion of the same personality. So when you worship Nrsingadev, it strengthens your faith, your sense of protection. Worship Mahaprabhu strengthens your taste for the holy name. Worship Lord Ram strengthens your virtue, your steadiness. Like I'm telling you, this really works. If you're having a hard time consistently doing your rounds, like not finishing them or things like that, turn to Lord Ram and pray to him that Prana Jaya Parvachan Najaya, give me that strength, that I've given my word and never want to break it. And Lord Ram will respond. It's the same Krishna, but in that mood of virtue and steadiness. Worshipping Jagannath, It strengthens your sense of devotion in separation. So what Mahaprabhu did, he worshipped Jagannath in separation. Because the whole pastime of Jagannath is mood of separation when the gopis are trying to drag him in that Rath Yatra. And of course, worshipping Krishna strengthens your intimacy, your sweetness. So they're not different paths. It's the same path. It's diversified for our benefit. And of course, in this age of Kali, Mahaprabhu is a direct bridge to Krishna. Mahaprabhu is Krishna, but in his most accessible, merciful, affectionate mood. He is Krishna, but without the royalty, without the distance, without the majesty. Krishna who has stepped down to walk among us. Krishna has stepped down to cry with us. My Lord, I have no taste for your name. Krishna is saying to Jagannath or to Krishna, I have no taste for your name. That is our predicament. He is coming and being us. He's crying with us. He's dancing with us. He's lifting us. So through Mahaprabhu, even an ordinary person can understand Krishna's heart, can taste Krishna's sweetness, can chant Krishna's name with realization. Mahaprabhu is the path to Krishna. Mahaprabhu is Krishna's outstretched hand to us. Come, step on this hand, get in. Then why do so many advanced devotees worship Lord Nrsimhadev every day? Because Nrsimhadev removes many obstacles that block us from entering Krishna's sweetness. He protects. What does he protect? He protects our sadhana, he protects our mind. He protects our enthusiasm. He protects our purity. He protects our determination. These are the things we can pray to protect. And he keeps the world from overwhelming us so that Krishna can embrace us. A perfect example of that is Prahlad Maharaj. He had so much faith. That beautiful movie came out earlier this year. We could see in little boy Prahlad, he had so much faith in the protection of the Lord. So when Lord Nrsimhadev is guarding our heart, Krishna walks into our heart. Now, Prabhupada said, worship Krishna in the form you find yourself most attracted to. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, there's a story in Chaitanya Charitamrita that highlights that. Right? Murari Gupta was attracted to worship Lord Ram. And Chaitanya says, okay, Murari Gupta is good, you worship Lord Ram, but I think it's time you upgrade to Krishna. Why don't you start worshiping Radha Krishna now? And so then Murari Gupta said, okay, sure, if you're saying, I'll try it. He went home, he tried. He said, my mind just goes to Lord Ram, Sita Ram, that's my Lord. And Mahaprabhu embraced him. He said, yes, of course, I was just teasing you. I'm not telling you, just teasing, don't cry. And he embraced him and he said, of course you'll worship Lord Ram. You are the incarnation of Hanumanji. So Prabhupada said, worship Krishna in the form you find yourself most attracted to. This attraction is your spiritual individuality. It may be a pointer to eternal relationship awakening. You don't have to disregard it. If you like that form, if a devotee from Orissa goes to Vrindavan, and he sees Shyam Sundar, he says, that is my Jagannath. And then when Vrindavan devotee goes to Orissa, to Jagannath Puri, he says, that is my Shyam Sundar. He sees in Jagannath his Shyam Sundar. And Jagannath devotee sees in Shyam Sundar his Jagannath. Perfectly fine. So you may feel naturally drawn to Jagannath or Radha Krishna, Gaur Nitai, or Nrsimhadev, or Ram, or Gopalji. Doesn't matter. It's not sentimental. It's good. It's actually, you should find yourself drawn to one or the other form of the Lord. Following that attraction brings us closer to our eternal identity. See? So in one sentence, all these forms, they are ways of Krishna making himself more reachable to us. Every deity brings us closer to him. There's only one relationship, unfolding through many divine expressions. Hare Krishna. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
So nice to see you, Anandvardhan Prabhu. Yes, Venu Madhuri Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes,
Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
I just wanted to start by thanking my dear god sister Kirti the Sundari for forwarding this invitation to us all, so we have the benefit across the globe. Just one reflection and then a question, if I may.
Sure.
I really appreciated what you said about the sort of the diversity and the variegatedness of existence as being an expression of Krishna's love. That really resonated with me. And I think about, when we really love somebody, we want to always keep it fresh, and we always want, newness and to keep things even like full of play, or like even like little sweet tricks, or just always something new and exciting to kind of keep the love alive. And I just love thinking of that as Krishna's expression of love, this variegatedness that we see. I thought that was a beautiful point. And I also really appreciated what you said about thinking that nature is the highest is a philosophical trap, because I spent a lot of time in that trap myself, so I can really appreciate that. That was it Prabhupada who said, if when someone was looking at the sunset, like if you appreciate the painting, you should meet the artist. Was it?
Yes.
Yeah. I guess my question is about humility, that you said it was one of the essential ways to attract Krishna. What are some practical tips for extinguishing sort of the flame of pride, which I feel burning quite strongly in my heart? What are some ways to put that flame out?
So let us first, let's explore this concept of humility. Prabhupada defined it in one place if you look in, I think it's the 3rd chapter. Humility means to not be anxious, or not be anxious about wanting to be recognized. Now look at the wording. He says you shouldn't be anxious about it. Having a desire to be recognized is not the problem. But when it goes to the level of anxiety, that's when it gets problematic. Like if you appreciate being recognized or appreciated, nothing wrong with that. I appreciate that, you recognize that I helped, or whatever. You're appreciating their appreciation. Doesn't mean you're not humble. But when you get in so much anxiety, oh my God, I really hope they don't forget to announce my name. I'll lose sleep over it if they don't. Then we know, okay, we don't have humility anymore. Now, what are some, let's say, practical tips that can help us cultivate humility and, like you said, reduce pride? When I say practical, let's just really go practical, right? One thing we can do is we can appreciate others silently. Like, for example, take a moment every day. If you make it an actual practice, you'll see it work. It's hard to do this because, come on, I have so many things to do, and I add one more thing to do. But try it, right? Every day, you consciously appreciate 3 people in your community, your family. It doesn't have to be only devotees. It could be other family members. Just appreciate some good quality in them without telling them. Don't need to tell them. Just appreciate in your heart, genuinely appreciate. Wow, this person is a pain in the neck, but I'm telling you, there's these 5 good qualities, and it's amazing. No one's perfect. So you get used to even silently reminding yourself of something good about somebody. You're not expecting anything back from them. What does this do? It trains our heart to see a couple of things. That others have good qualities, some of which I do not have. That's an important point. A lot of the time we think, I have all the best qualities. We've heard people like that. I have the best words, I have the best everything, I have the best qualities. Others don't have many good qualities. And we are very unforgiving when we see imperfections in others. If they drop the ball, or if they're flaking out or something, we get really angry at them. but they have other qualities too. So others have qualities I don't have that are good qualities. And the other point is Krishna has invested his brilliance everywhere. Krishna's brilliance is not just invested in me. I'm not the only good person in the world. You see. You know that story of Duryodhana and Yudhishthir, right? Yudhishthir was told, can you go find anybody who is, I think it was like, can you go out and find somebody who's more fallen than you? And then Duryodhana was told, you go find anybody who's better than you. And both of them came back saying, I couldn't find anyone. Yudhishthir said, I couldn't find anybody more fallen than me. And Duryodhana came back saying, I didn't find anybody better than me. You see, so it's a contrast. The idea that Krishna has invested his brilliance everywhere is a good thing to keep in mind. Humility grows when our admiration becomes natural. A lot of the times our admiration muscles have atrophied because we stopped using them. So now I have to do some physical therapy to get those active again. Really try to recognize good in others. You know, doesn't mean we ignore red flags, but at least see good in others. That's one thing. Then another thing that one can do is do one invisible service every day. Pick a service that no one will notice. Clean a little corner somewhere. Fold someone's shoes nicely. Wipe some spill that nobody will notice that you did it. Arrange the books after the class. You know, these kind of things, it breaks the ego's addiction to being recognized. Do something we intentionally not recognized, like actively hide that, but you do it invisibly. It breaks our pattern of that addiction, being recognized of every little thing that we do. You don't have to take selfie everywhere, right? Then the third thing we can do is we can evaluate ourselves. Like, for example, we can remember a recent mistake we made. Not to feel guilty, not to develop self-hatred, that's not the point, but to remain grounded that, look, I also falter. I also flake out. I also drop the ball sometimes. I am a work in progress. This protects us from a subtle sense of superiority. It keeps us sincere. And we want to say more thank you and less of I know that. You know, it was really funny when my son was only like 2 years old. It was really cute, and I would say, Madhav, you're so cute, and Madhav would say, I know that. I know, you don't need to tell me, I know that. It was very funny. Of course, it's adorable when his 2-year-old says it, but when grown-ups keep saying I know, you know, it's better to just say thank you for sharing. That's a helpful reminder. I appreciate your perspective. Because our knowledge puffs us up and our gratitude softens our heart. You know. This other one is one of the hardest things to do. Evaluate your inner dialogue when you talk about others in your mind, like when you're commenting on others in your head. Pride usually starts appearing in our mental commentary first before it appears in our actions. You might think, oh, why did you do it like that? And you get angry. Or I would have said it better than that. That's this awful way of saying something. Or she's not really very advanced, you know. Yes, things like that, right? So when you catch these thoughts, then you can gently counter them that, look, they are Krishna's devotees. I don't know what Krishna sees in them. I have no idea, but I'm sure there's something good. It breaks the habit of making ourselves the center, and it gives us a sense of generosity. Let's be a little bit more generous when you're evaluating others, you know. Because we can be generous in giving benefit of doubt, or we can be stingy in giving benefit of doubt. Let's be a little more generous, right? Not saying we be naive and become doormats for somebody. I'm just saying let's be a little more generous, even though we're still trying to keep things realistic, but just try to be gentler on other people because we expect them to be gentler on us. Now, this is another counterintuitive thing that came to my mind once. It's pride thrives on a sense of independence. Independence is generally seen as a good thing. But sometimes asking for small help intentionally, even though you may not quite need it, creates a sense of, oh no, I need people. Can you help review this for me? Can you please explain that again? Can you show me how you would do this? It trains the heart into a sense of interdependence and gentleness. So it's not like, oh no, I know how to do everything. That mood of I know how to do everything, I'm actually way better than most people on this thing, it fosters our pride. See, a lot of these things, they're good and bad. They're very good from one angle, but they also can erode our pride, erode our humility in the other angle. That's why you have to evaluate them at a subtle level. The devil is always in the details, right? So those are some of the practical things I can offer. I mean, there's a few more, like, we don't seek praise, but that's hard to do. But even seeking correction, for example, and taking it well, that's another good sign. So, and then of course count your blessings. Reflect on the gifts that you have, but you didn't necessarily earn. The opportunities, the possessions that came to you without any effort, things you inherited, a birth in a family, in a country, a good health, your career, access to spiritual knowledge. So many things that we have, we may take for granted. If we start thanking the Lord for all these things, that helps with our humility as well. They are all interconnected. Gratitude and humility go together. So, yeah, great question. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. We have a few more minutes.
Hare Krishna. We have 2 more minutes. If there are any other questions. Yes, Gayatri Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Maharaj. I was wondering, Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for such wonderful sessions yesterday as well as today. Maharaj, I had a question. Like when we are talking about devotees and the demigods, when we say like when we have to go to the president, we directly go to the president. We say when it comes to the devotees worship, I mean not the devotees but the demigod worship. But when it comes to the devotees, we say that we have to go to the devotees so that we can go to Krishna. So how is it different, Maharaj? I just wanted to know. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. This is a point of confusion for many people. The point to understand is the relationship. Okay? In the mood of approaching empowered beings. So, of course, we can't approach the president directly. You have to approach him through the servants. Right? But when we approach the demigods, and the devotees say, no, you should go to the president directly. Why are you going to the servants? But then when you talk about serving the Lord, then you say, no, you have to serve Guru, the Guru's Guru, then you have to serve the Acharyas. You can't go directly. So which one is it? The point is about the mood and the relationship, the proper perspective. The vast majority of people who worship empowered beings who are gods, demigods, whatever you want to call them, Devi Devtas, they approach them independently of Krishna. They generally don't see them as being empowered by Krishna. And they generally approach them not for Krishna, but they generally approach them for some other selfish material goal. That's the general understanding. If you want to do well in your exam, you worship Saraswati, goddess of learning. You want to do well in your business and you get a lot of money, you worship Lakshmi Devi, and so on. Right? Those are selfish goals, and you don't see Saraswati is being empowered by Krishna. You just see she's the one. That's it. You see, that's the problem. So some people worship Lord Shiva for whatever material reasons, and Lord Shiva also helps them sometimes. But when you worship these demigods from that angle, you're missing the goal of life completely. Krishna says in the Gita, Kamaistestir hrita jnana prapadyante anya devata. Tam tam niyama asthaya. So, Kamaistestir hrita jnana. When somebody's intelligence is stolen by selfish material desires, hrita means apharana, is kidnapped. When their intelligence is kidnapped, then they worship demigods independently of me. Why? Because their intelligence has now been kidnapped by what? Selfish material desires. This is Krishna saying the Gita. It's not something we're just observing since the 70s or 80s. No, this is something that is universal, that Krishna is explaining. You see? We see it all the time. Millions of years ago, the same problem was there. What are they trying to do? Basically, it's trying to circumvent the legal system by bribing an officer. I'll worship you. But not really approaching the proper way. The proper way is to pay your taxes that go to the government properly. But worship of demigods for material things is like trying to bribe an officer to, hey, do something for me, come on. That's the general analogy. And it's selfish, and one may think this is something spiritual, one may think this is godly. It's not godly, it's selfish. It makes us more entangled in the material world. It turns us further away from our real goal, which is to find our relationship with Krishna again. Now, if we want to worship Lord Shiva because we love Lord Shiva, we should. But it has to be done in a proper context, the proper rasa, the proper mood, as a devotee of Krishna. For example, if you go to Vrindavan, when you enter Vrindavan, you have to first offer obeisances to Gopishwar Mahadev. Gopishwar Mahadev is Gopishwar means the Lord of the Gopis, but he's not Gopinath. Gopinath is Krishna. Gopishwar is Lord Shiva. Gopishwar is Lord Shiva who guards the holy dham where the gopis live. So this is now you're doing the mood of worshipping Krishna. You bow down to Lord Shiva, but as Gopishwar, in his Gopishwar temple, in that location. Okay. Now, so I really love Lord Shiva. Is it possible to worship him inside an ISKCON temple? Yes, it is. But you have to do it properly. In fact, here in our temple, we have Lord Shiva in 2 different forms on the altar. If you go to Mombasa temple, if you go to Nairobi temple, same thing. Lord Shiva is available as an expansion as Hanuman. Lord Hanuman is actually an expansion of Lord Shiva. But because he's in the context of worshipping Ram, then you can worship Hanumanji, you see. Because the mood is right. The mood is to focus on Krishna, on the Lord. He's also available as Advaita Acharya in the Panchatattva form. So we worship him. You'll see either he's in a picture or some deity form in the ISKCON temples. So Advaita Acharya is also expansion of Lord Shiva. But he's in the mood of serving Krishna. So there's nothing wrong with worshipping Lord Shiva, just doing the right mood. You see, that's the point. You want to worship Lakshmi Devi, she's right there. Sita Devi is Lakshmi, original Lakshmi. Radharani is original Lakshmi. We don't worship Lakshmi Devi separately. Sometimes you see, especially in India, people have some business. They have a nice framed picture of Lakshmi Devi, only Lakshmi Devi, and gold coins are falling from her hand. There's pots of gold all around her. It is incredibly beautiful. But that's not an appropriate way of worshipping Lakshmi Devi. In fact, she's very uncomfortable being invited to someone's house without Narayan with her. If you want to worship Lakshmi, Narayan has to be with her. Imagine you sign an invitation to a nice lady who's married, a very beautiful lady, and say, having a party at my house, you please come. Okay, sure. But you come alone, don't bring your husband. Your husband, keep him at home. It means you have some bad intention, You see. What do you mean? Your husband has to be with me? No. I like you only. So that's what we're doing when we worship Lakshmi Devi, you see. We're keeping her separate. She doesn't like that. It's basically what Ravan does. Ravan says, I'll take Sita. Ram, you stay there. Sita is mine. We don't want to be Ravan. We want to be Hanuman, where we rescue Lakshmi Devi, bring her back. You see. So that's a proper way to worship Sita and Ram together. So all the demigods are already included when we have all these forms of the Lord in there, but we have to approach them in a proper perspective. You're not devoid of respecting demigods, Lord Shiva, Lakshmi, all the others. You're not devoid of that if you become Hare Krishna devotee. In fact, those demigods feel very pleased because they feel, finally you're doing it properly. Thank you. They're happy. They will not be offended. And that's why when we put together an altar for the Lord, we don't just mix and match anything. The altar has to be done properly because you have to follow the rules of rasa. If you have Ram, then you don't put Radharani next to Ram. You know, it's the same, doesn't matter. No, Radharani goes with Krishna. With Ram, you put Sita. You don't mix and match whatever, anything you want on the altar. There are rules of rasa. Otherwise, it's called rasa bhas. You mix and match. You cannot put there like that. When you have Hanumanji, you put him with Lord Ram. You don't put him in Nrsingadev. Like that. You know, there's certain rules. Similarly, if you want to worship Lord Shiva, you cannot put a shivling on the altar. You cannot. No altar in ISKCON will allow shivling. That's not the proper mood. Because mix and match is rasa bhas. Lord Shiva only be worshipped in a particular way. So we have to be careful when you put together an altar, whether it's in the temple or certainly not, and also in our home. You can't just mix and match anything and say, this is also God, that's a God. No, it has to be done properly with proper guidance, has been done shastrically with in the line with acharyas. So these things are a science that we have to learn. We have to be careful not to allow our sentimentalism, you see. Yes, and Anandavardhana Prabhu brought up a very good point, that the gopis worship Katyayani Devi. But what is the goal of their worship? See, there's tradition in the village to worship Katyayani, who is Durga. But Katyayani worship was, please give us Krishna. You see? So that is the mood of worshipping Katyayani. The only goal was to get Krishna. It wasn't a materialistic goal. And that's why their worship of Katyayani is glorified. You see? We don't, now of course, today's world, a lot of people worship Durga, but they don't worship her that I want Krishna. They don't. They worship her for other things. Oh, my daughter, make sure she has a good husband. What is a good husband? Good husband means he's got a good degree and he's become a surgeon, plastic surgeon in Southern California. That's a good husband. No. It's ridiculous. Yeah, been making so much money and he's actually very handsome, and even if not handsome, he's a plastic surgeon, he can always make himself handsome. So, these things, these are things that we think are great. Yes, see, your prayers are fructifying now. No, this is not really happiness. That's the problem. So if you worship Katyayani, it has to be with the goal of Krishna. But we are fortunate, our acharyas teach us how to worship, whom to worship, in what mood to worship, what are allowable configurations on the altar, what is not allowed, what is considered sentimentalism. This is all in line with scriptures, and so we're happy to see that in ISKCON there's so much clarity. I've not seen any clarity like this anywhere else, when it comes to the demigods and all. All right? Hare Krishna. I think we've gone quite a bit over time. It's getting late, so thank you all again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Can I request Parth Prabhu? Parth Prabhu, are you able to end today's session? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Thank you so much, His Grace Madana-gopāla Prabhuji, for your nice class. Yeah, it's meaningful, and after a long time, not very long time, we again to heard from your mouth. So thank you very much for your precious time, Prabhuji. Always your class is enlightening, and it is nourished all the devotees. So thanks to all the devotees also who are assembling here. I request all the devotees, please unmute yourself and chant Hare Krishna mantra for glorification of His Grace Madana-gopāla Prabhuji. Please join.
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Madana-gopāla ki jai.
Jai Bhakta
Jai.
Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Thank you.
Granth Srimad
Wonderful
Bhagavatam.
class. I joined later when it was question and answer. Thank you, Kirita Mataji, for joining me in the Zoom class. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Trupti Mataji.
Hare
See you
Krishna.
soon. Good to see you.
We moved to our new ashram, so we wait for you to visit London.
Oh, wonderful.
You
I
can
can't
come
wait.
to our ashram.
I'm going to have to book my ticket. All right. I'll
Yes.
see you at that. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
very much.
Hare Krishna,
Look forward to
everyone.
it. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you so much for joining.